top leaders, meaningful conversation, actionable advice, bulldoze complacency, ignite inspiration, create impact. Produced by Southwestern family of companies. This is the Action Catalyst.
So whether you're using it or just considering it or you're terrified of it, a conversation about AI and its role in the future of business is a conversation worth having. And our next segment is a panel discussion on exactly that topic. It is presented by the Action Catalyst, the flagship program in the Southwestern family of podcasts. Launched in 2013, the Action Catalyst is a premier entrepreneurship and leadership podcast, which has found its way onto best of lists from the likes of Inc., Entrepreneur, Business Insider, and many, many more names that you've definitely heard of. It stands at nearly 500 episodes strong with listeners in over 160 countries. It is a free podcast, and we think you'll love it, but if you don't, we'll give you your money back. Since 2022, the show has been hosted by Adam Outland, president of Southwestern Consulting. In over 20 years at Southwestern, Adam has served as an elite-level coach, partner, and leader, founding the Southwestern Student Coaching Division, helping both professionals as well as youth unlock new levels of success. And in that time, since 2022, Adam has welcomed many of the guests that are now gracing this stage onto the podcast. Anya Cheng is the founder and CEO of Taelor, a revolutionary AI-based apparel platform, and she has also served as head of product for Facebook, eBay, Target, McDonald's, and more, as well as an adjunct lecturer of product management, marketing, and entrepreneurship at Northwestern University. Hardly a company she has not been a head of product for. Dr. Amy Dupree is the president and founder of Lifebridge Strategies, part of the Southwestern family of companies, an internationally renowned expert on lifestyle issues relating to retirement, aging, caregiving, and family dynamics with a PhD in social work. Dr. Amy has provided guidance on life transitions to individuals, professionals, and organizations for over 3 decades. Dave Brown is a founding partner and executive-level sales and leadership coach for Southwestern Consulting, who has trained and spoken to hundreds of thousands of sales professionals across the globe. He has reached almost as many people as the Action Catalyst podcast. In addition to being a consistent top producer himself, Dave serves as vice president of recruiting for Southwestern Coaching. He's also a guest lecturer at Vanderbilt University and has authored 2 phenomenal books, Painless Prospecting, and most recently, Servant Selling, the essential handbook for closing more deals and giving your customers exactly what they need. And finally, Gayathri Krishnamurthy, otherwise known as G3, the coolest name on the stage, is a global go-to-market leader, musician, and avid traveler. She has run global go-to-market strategies and product marketing for several leading B2B SaaS companies, including RingCentral, NICE, ServiceNow, and Sugar CRM, just to name a few. And she is currently the head of product marketing at Level AI. And everyone, this talk is being recorded for a very special live episode of the Action Catalyst podcast, our very first. So make a whole lot of noise for the Action Catalyst panel.
And let's give one more hand of applause for our amazing MC who did a great job. Yeah, good job, Zach. Zach puts the whole Action Catalyst together for us, so it makes my job incredibly easy because he does all the editing, so you don't hear the ums and the ahs. So you may hear a few of those today.
And a special shout out for him. My full name with 26 alphabets, he nailed it. Gayathri Krishnamurthy.
So good. All right, so we're going to get started. How many of you guys are excited to learn a little bit about tech and AI? Show of hands. Okay, let's get going. So we wanted to start with Anya today with a special question. You got a little bit of her context and background for just an amazing variety of work that she's done. You've won awards for your work on product across a number of these different companies, Target, Meta, eBay. Meta, you helped bring the internet to countries that didn't already have it as their head of product marketing. So you also helped build an e-commerce platform that many people here should know for Facebook, right?
Yeah, if you buy something that's useless on Instagram, sorry about that. That was my fault.
So if you wouldn't mind, though, tell us just in a few words a little bit about Taelor, your current business that you've founded, and we'll go from there.
I started a company in the AI space. We use AI to pick clothes for men. Definitely not you. You're too stylish. But in the old time, people have, like celebrity have human stylists. But now with AI, everyone can have stylists in their pocket. So Taelor AI, we help people to pick clothes, but we send them real clothes for them to wear for a couple weeks. Like this time, you come to the conference from Boston, for example. If you're a busy man, you change your address, we ship the clothes to the hotel lobby. You wear whole weeks. Once you are done, tomorrow you put into the return envelope of your dirty clothes. You go home without doing any laundry. For the day-to-day, if you are just busy man, every month people can wear like 10 clothes per month. And our AI pick the outfit for the purpose. And from there, no more shopping or laundry.
I love that. So with that context, and given that AI is the capability of being this, we've heard a lot, that AI is the next internet of things, right? It's going to layer into everything that we do. And given the experience that you've had, what are ways that you're learning to embrace that functionality in your business?
I think most important thing that I'm learning still is to make sure we're solving the right problem. As a business leader, we tend to focus on what are the right solution. We have problem. But many times, solving the right problem is a lot more important. For example, at Amazon, the thing said, hey, truck drivers, they don't have a hand to turn on, turn off the light in the truck. So they decide to use AI to make sure that when the AI detects someone is in the truck, the lights goes on. Perfect. It works. In a day, when AI can see a human, the light goes on, and the driver doesn't need a light during the day, right? And then in the evening, the AI couldn't see the guy, so the light wasn't going on, and the driver needs the light. It wasn't working because it's a wrong problem to solve. The same thing at eBay. When I was at eBay, we thought people would love to snap a picture and write all the descriptions with AI. We launched a feature, love it. Now the customers, they are not using it because of what? They found out that they actually love to write information because they care so much the item being sold, so they don't mind spending time to make sure it's correct and they can sell well. So the AI writing description wasn't working. At Target, we launched a feature for mom to go to the store. It will become a store GPS, turn right, turn left. Amazing, you will never forget one thing. Moms didn't use it. Why? Moms are going to the store to get lost. They like to be back to the store. They don't like a store GPS. It's a way of get away from the noisy kids, right? So perfect. Oh my God, I forgot the meal. I have to go back again. Husband, can you take a look at the two kids? Thanks, right? So finding the right problem to solve is still very important before you figure out how to use the technology to solve the wrong problem.
Well said. And I think so many people identified in the audience with that story. Dr. Amy, let's go over to you for a few minutes. Tell us a little bit, in your words, a little bit about Lifebridge Strategies to give some context, and we'll go from there.
Sure. At Lifebridge Strategies, we are working with wealth advisors, but we'll be coming to a profession near you, so hang on. We help wealth advisors deepen their relationships with clients by better understanding the life transitions they go through, and we say transitions are the stages, changes, and events that we all go through during our life, things, as we move through midlife and beyond, things like the death of our parents and retirement and caregiving and health challenges. So we help advisors better understand those, learn how to communicate with their clients better around those, and then we also give them resources on the life side that they can share with their clients and that their clients can only get through them.
We had an interesting interaction. One of my good friends in Houston leads a Houston firm for ultra-high net worth clients in the advisor space. And this gentleman and I, that we had breakfast one morning, and he told me how he asked corporate if he could take an additional responsibility. Not something people really enjoy doing when they're very happy with what they're doing. But he saw something. He saw with the integration of AI that there was a big change potentially coming for the financial services space. And so he volunteered, they may have paid him, but he volunteered initially to take on the role of client experience nationally for their firm. And I asked him why, and he began to talk a little bit about predicting the future and wanting to have a position where he can get ahead of the curve. So I'm sure we have a lot of folks in this space out here in the audience and some folks that are obviously not in that space, but what are some of the larger firms doing to prepare for the progression of AI?
I get the opportunity to work both with large firms and with individual advisors, and my team does as well. And I was sharing with you that last week I was actually in front of a very large firm that wanted me to talk to their technical planners who partner with wealth advisors. And the technical planners are client-facing, but almost a little bit one removed. But what they realize is AI as we all know, is starting to at least enhance what they do, if not replace some of the planning skills. But what the firms realize that their advisors and planners really need are the human connection skills at a deeper and deeper level. And so firms are really working to upscale on that. And I never call them soft skills. You know, Simon Sinek calls it human skills, which I think is so much better because soft skills make it sound unimportant. But large firms are really looking at how do we deepen our connection with clients to make sure that the clients are sticky, and how do we convert prospects into clients? It really comes down to relationship, and firms are spending a lot more time focusing on that in the time of AI.
Thanks, Dr. Amy. So it's true, right? AI can accelerate the math formula of maybe making a stock selection. But what AI seems to struggle more with is the human relation component. People want that human touch.
And that's where the gold is, really, right? That is our ability to connect. I always say I think one of the greatest human needs is to feel seen, heard, and understood. Not always agreed with, but seen, heard, and understood. And advisors who do that well are the ones who are most successful.
Love it. Dave, you can pick up on this. You're obviously founded and helped build our coaching business, our training business, in a world where AI seems to be taking over so many different positions. We've even seen it encroach a little into our space. We've had different companies that Tony Robbins has Steno AI that like has a little voice that duplicates himself. And the first time you hear it, it's like really bizarre because it's Tony crafting a message for you, but he's not there. It's his AI impression. And you go, is this really going to be the norm? So, you know, with some of these entries taking place into our coaching market, you know, are you concerned about the implications?
Not concerned. I'm more curious. I'm getting more curious with it. And, but you're right. Like there's this article that came across my phone, a Wall Street Journal article, and I took notes because I don't want to miss anything, but it says AI is coming for the consultants. That was the name of the article. So it was like, of course, let me click on that one, right? Don't you love those titles? But it was about McKinsey, you know, our largest consulting firm. Something was alarming was they went from 45,000 consultants to 40,000 over the last couple of years. And what's even cooler, again, not alarming or anything else, but what's cooler is they have 12,000 AI agents that are now working with them. So they've created these bots to complement their projects. And that's a place where it's like, oh my gosh, you know, job, everything else, what's going to happen for me? But every one of their projects has got 2 AI agents on it on average. So us kind of staying ahead of that, that's a place where we need to evolve as a business. And I think that's the question that all of us need to be asking is like, how can we get more curious about this? How can we go, how can I be playing in this space? And I have been. It's I wrote this little kind of quote down as I was piecing things together. AI, it almost mixes the best of our instincts with the processing power, right? It's all it is information. It's not human instinct. It's blending technology with humanity. We can almost ensure that our decisions are not only data-driven, but they're also grounded in critical thinking. And AI doesn't replace what makes us human, it enhances it. So that's what I'm always kind of thinking. I'm not thinking of, oh, how am I going to go, you know, fix this and just type this in and give me all the answers. How can it enhance me? You guys, many of you know this name, but the former Google CEO, Eric Schmidt, said with the pace at which AI is evolving, entirely reasonable that we're going to live in a completely different functional world in 5 years. Not 10, 5 years. So that's getting me to go, all right, I need to know about this stuff and how I can best do as much as I can with it. So yeah, a lot of other resources that are out there, but I need to get curious and I need to learn as much as I can about it. Yeah.
Some of that curiosity led us to pick a certain vendor that's on stage with us. So
it did.
We saw,
So
you know.
I want to comment on one
Please.
point he made,
Good.
which is, hey, you are an awesome sports person. AI is never going to replace a sports person. So
It can give you some strategy, though. It can give you some strategy.
exactly. There are a lot of roles which will not be wiped out.
Let's piggyback on this. So, you know, one of the things we did was we were doing some research and to figure out how can we interact and engage with AI in a way that would be relevant and supportive of the business. And that's where we came across Level AI. So if you wouldn't mind, G3, instead of me doing the whole preview, why don't you just share a few words about what Level AI seeks to accomplish, and we'll piggyback on that.
Sure. I was meeting a lot of you guys yesterday. You've been using so many amazing tools in AI. And one thing that struck me was they are very disparate tools. What Level AI does is it brings a lot of tools, AI tools, but it's all trained on a common company data, which is important because an AI tool cannot operate in silos. So Level AI is all about getting a lot of models together and really honing in on the domain of customer experience, building great customer relations. And to your point, Amy, it's all about, the human skills. And what Level AI does is really gives you a lot of analytics and insights into customer interactions. So we take all your customer interactions, we do two things. One is give you great insights from every single conversation that's happened that can really surface what the big problems are, number one. Number two is it helps to automate a lot of processes, like taking notes, updating, automating, and all that stuff. And the beautiful thing about this is when you automate, you want to see how it is going with the customer, meaning what's the insight that I can get after automation. So there's this beautiful loop of there's insights that I get, I automate, then I get insights and I automate. I kind of course correct, so you have a human and an agent balance. So that's what, in a nutshell, Level AI does to help you with all the customer insights, automate where possible, and keep that continuous loop going.
And let's continue on. So one of the key challenges today, and Dave brought this up a little bit, isn't the collection of data. We've been able to collect data for a long time. I was with one of our other clients in Houston looking at his giant warehouse of paper, right? He was in the paper collection industry of scanning and digitizing paper. It isn't the collection of data that's so difficult today. We've managed that. Tech has helped us with that. But it's how the data is interpreted. So how does AI help us actually do correct interpretation of data, get there quicker, more effectively? What are ways and areas that AI data interpretation can be most helpful?
So if you look at the customer conversation, it is happening over phone, over websites, over social media. So there's no dearth of data. So what's happened in the past is we have had some analytics tool which is able to parse through that, get some insights. And what AI is doing is really putting, literally, it's on steroids. And the reason being 90% of the data is unstructured data. So getting a lot of insights from an unstructured data was tougher in the older iteration of AI. Now with the newer iteration of AI, that's the huge aperture that we're widening up. So what happens is now you're able to make sense of data, and not just 100% of data. And again, think about this fact, 100% of all the conversations that your customers are having is brought in, and you're putting an AI on top of it. The kind of insights are going to be great, not just because you had access to data, but also the type of insights. For example, you can find the sentiment. You can find the effort involved in resolution. You can find maybe the resolution, whether it happened or not. Maybe the agents say they resolve it, but it's not really resolved. So there are multiple parameters that are more AI-driven that you're able to get at a large scale. So every conversation mined for sentiment and all of those. And in fact, we have inferred CSAT on every conversation. That gives you a lot of view into what's really breaking, right? For example, if you look at all the 100% conversations and you're saying, my top issue you thought was maybe billing, but then for all you know, it could be something else. It could be pricing that you didn't look at it. So the idea of just looking for certain things and watching out, that era is gone. Now you have to be proactive and listen. You have to be a listening post. So AI really helps with that. So I feel like one of the biggest things that we look at from an AI perspective is how can I use that insight? How can I use the customer issues that are bubbling up and take that and drive your operations? Really getting to that outside in view, because we are quick to automate stuff. Okay, let me automate. Okay, updating CRM, let me automate it. Getting a summary of a call, let me automate it. That's great. We're getting lower returns. But the biggest, larger value is going to come when you're really looking at the customer and pivoting your operations to align with it. That's where I feel the power of AI is not just in the automation, but the insights and connecting the two. I think that's where, I'm going to, the one thing that I would leave with you all is really getting that insight from the customer, putting that lens as like the primary lens as you do, especially in small business, because that's kind of the heart of a small business, the customer relationship. That would be one of the things I would leave with the audience here.
And it's amazing how AI can take a data set and then self-optimize with that data. So if it's listening to 100 sales calls, it can potentially learn from its own set of data. And as long as maybe a human helps indicate what's good versus bad initially, it can spool up its learning and provide more accurate feedback.
Exactly.
Right?
And you can use that to train, a C player to an A player and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, now that you've really found the insights, it's easy to kind of look at the correlations and all that good stuff.
Love it. Anya, back to you. In what way is AI allowing you to scale your business? What roles did you find it replacing in your industry and space to allow you to scale quicker, faster, and serve more clients?
I think first, when you guys are using AI, first think about what's the biggest value. Because start 80-20 rule, right? So start with the biggest value. For example, we found that our customers, they are not here just about renting clothes. They are here to buy a success, chance to succeed. So they don't care what they wear, they care getting a job, getting a date, close a deal. The reason they are using our AI stylists and closing rental service is that they want to achieve their goal. And they want this to become a tool to help them get their girlfriend and boyfriends. So starting with that and doing the laundry. So who say AI cannot do the laundry, right? So the first thing we do is like, okay, the key value is number one, styling. But styling take a lot of people. In the old time, the human stylist, why celebrity have stylists? Because it's expensive, right? So we start by looking at, okay, that's the biggest value for the company and for the customer. So we start doing AI styling. So we ask people to upload a few pictures, ask them for their high-end way, which we don't always use because our customer, for some reason, busy men tend to think they are thinner and taller. So data is important, but garbage in, garbage out. So when you have wrong data, you won't get the right outfit. So we tend to ask verification question. Go to your closet, pick your favorite outfit. Oh my God, when am I becoming extra large? So we ask some other question to make sure the data is right. We ask them like fit issues, or the sleeve too long, pants too tight. We ask them to ask some question like, what brand inspire you? And then our customer will say, Armani and Louis Vuitton. Where are you shopping today? Costco and Uniqlo. Okay, great. Now I know where you are. What kind of clothes should I send you? So we use AI stylists to do so. But then after the most valuable part, now we come in and look at our company's workflow. Where are we spending time? How can we streamline each part? For example, getting customers, number one, right? So we use ChatGPT for SEO. So G3 said about something very, very important. I want to highlight one more time she said. Different from Google, ChatGPT search optimization is including a lot more unstructured data. Means what? Means for you guys who are doing SEO before, you need to make sure this image has Adam's name behind it. Write down the text. Otherwise, Google couldn't read. Nowadays, ChatGPT, the AI, they can read unstructured data, the image and video and other stuff. So the logic overall is still the same, but the generating content become different. So we use it for SEO purpose, which I can share more later. We use it for styling note. When we send our customer clothes, the old time, the stylist will say, pair this to top. Believe it or not, when we send 7 items to our customer, they still ask us, oh, they are 2 top. Which one should I pair with these 2 pants? Which one? So we write down the styling note using AI, and we say, okay, pair this with these sneakers. White sneaker, make sure it's clean. And we send out to them. And then from there, for example, we use it for customer sentiment. Before, human stylists will have, okay, with thousands of customers, who is most likely to churn? We need to have a human to write down, oh, this guy's angry, so we probably have to give him a bonus item. And now we simply use AI, say, okay, read all of the text message before and email this information and review and tell me which customers should I give bonus item, otherwise they might be churning. So number one, looking at the value. Number two, looking at your workflow where you can use AI to optimize.
Wow. So there's so many different ways that you have data sets in a business. And there's ways that you just shared that I didn't even think about, how you can take that specific data set and have AI help you, like you said, optimize and make better decisions versus having a bunch of humans with tally sheets and doing the homework themselves. I might stick with you on this next question then. What are the ways that you see AI enhancing the capacity for marketing and driving web traffic?
Yeah, so tap on the SEO things. We recently won American Marketing Association Excellent in Marketing Award, and with other finalists are including like Netflix and Google, Pixar. So how we do it is we got 10 million impressions for free from ChatGPT. Now if you search ChatGPT for a 2-year-old startup, if you search ChatGPT 2025 men's fashion trend, the answer isn't from GQ, it's from Taelor. How? So we start looking at the same thing as the old way to do SEO. Start with a user journey. When will user asking what questions? Right? So for example, I'm going out on dates and what kind of outfit should I use and asking those questions. So we start with human generating some of the outlines. Then we use AI to generating the data on the contents. And from there, most important part here is AI, human, like what Doctor mentions. So AI generate content and human stylists will add input from there. Then you send it to a customer for the styling note, and customer will provide feedback. Because we are a subscription business, say $100 get 10 clothes per month. So customers tend to give feedback right away, wanting to make sure next shipment is better. So the customer feedback come back to the content, and now we put those content on the website. So then a website generating more traffic coming to a site, and again, it come back to our loop that we send it review to the customer, etc. So AI human. The most important thing is AI enhance your capability, but it's human to make sure it has empathy, authenticity, and relevancy. So both two combined, that's how we were able to get 10 million impressions for free from ChatGPT.
I love it. And just maybe a tag-on question. Do you feel that since you've started your journey with Taelor, has AI gotten smarter at optimizing from the AI human feedback? Do you feel like it's continuing to develop its own algorithm and getting better and better at predicting?
For sure. And that's why nowadays, like what G3 mentioned, it's extremely important that you have your own data set. What does it mean? For example, my friend is a doctor, is a dentist. He just have one small practice, but he has been doing that for 10 years. Means what? He has the data of the image of teeth issues that other people don't have. For teeth issue for people who live in Silicon Valley, right? And I'm sure all of you guys, even no matter how big, how small your business, you have some unique data that no one else has. And now is your era, because this era different from before. Last generation is algorithm, Google. This giant box, black box, you put something, someone rank high. So you need very, very, very expensive engineer in the past. So the last era was all about big company. But nowadays, everyone will use large language model. Means what? Everyone use OpenAI, Elon Musk AI, Mark Zuckerberg's AI. None of us are going to build that. But the goal is you bring your own unique data set. You sit on top of that. So as they grow, you also grow, but you are always one step ahead. So nowadays, building AI is easy. You need kids outside of college, out of college, in a week or two, you can build something. But most important is what problem you are solving if you have unique data that other people cannot repeat from you.
Well said. So I saw Dr. Amy's gears turning as we're talking. She's like, how can we even adapt more to that? So, Dr. Amy, let's talk about a certain data set and person that you work with. In the documentaries on blue zones and regional zones where there's a heightened lifespan, we're talking about retirement, right? So one of the key factors scientists have identified contribute to longevity is community, right? And the absence of community is a pain point for health issues. So when we go from AI to talking about the human component and the human touch, we're seeing there's a scarcity of community. There's a scarcity of human contact. Is that a pain point for the retirement market that you inadvertently serve?
It's a huge pain point. And first of all, I should say, I love AI, and I love the AI human. So we use AI in my business. We see it as something that frees people to be able to have more of the human connection. So it's not AI or human, it's both combined, right? That's what we're talking about. And yeah, the lack of community, we know, is a huge issue for people as they age. We know that people who have, we call it social support, who have good social support as they get older, live longer, live healthier, both mentally and physically. are less apt to end up in a nursing home, heal quicker from illnesses, and the latest research shows it has a protective factor against Alzheimer's disease. So it's huge. And we know it's a big problem. In the UK, they have a minister of loneliness. I don't know why they didn't call it a minister of connection or something a little happier than a minister of loneliness. But the last time I was over, they had in the subways, I saw all these signs for have tea with an older person in your neighborhood. You know, it's this idea of connection. So this, for us who are professionals, there's a huge opportunity here. Again, it comes back to that connection. And how do we be part of the community as professionals, not just in our personal life, both? You know, one of the studies that I love was done by Vanguard a few years ago. And I quote this a lot because I think this applies across professions. But if you're in any work where you need to build trust with your clients, Vanguard interviewed high net worth clients and asked them what created trust in the advisory relationship. And there were three things: functional trust, ethical trust, and emotional trust. So I'll let you think about what was the most important in that. Functional trust, which means your ability to do your job, 17%. Now, it doesn't mean it's not important. It's table stakes. They assume if you're in this position, you're doing that. The second was ethical trust, and ethical trust came in at 30%. And the remainder, 53%, was emotional trust. Now, think about what that means. So when we talk about, again, getting great data, which people, you know, advisors need this, and helping, you know, put the plans together, that frees you to have the conversations. And this goes across whatever industry you're sitting in here. You know, whatever your connection is, I think we keep saying, how do you use AI to free you to then have more time to interpret that and to apply that to the person? You know, another thing I'll share is that if you look at who is unhappy with financial services, it tends to be women. The studies show that about 70 to 80% of the time, if the husband dies first, the wife finds a new advisor within 1 year. So I work a lot with advisors just to close this gap, because think about the opportunity here. You know, do you want to keep prospecting new people, or do you want to keep the people you already have? So when we talk about women and how do you keep women clients, it's making all that data that you're getting from AI relevant to what's going on in people's lives. I say that every life transition has 4 implications: practical, emotional, family, and financial or financial legal. Well, when I'm working with advisors, obviously their lane, their sweet spot is the financial, but your client lives in all those other areas too. Life and money go hand in hand, but it's up to the advisor to bring that together and make it relevant for the client and be able to go to where the client is, express empathy, as you said. And I always say empathy is just, I see you, I hear you, I get you. That's all it is, I get you. And then be able to segue to the business conversation and go back and forth between life and business. And this is where I believe AI, and again, it's not a threat to the business of advisors. It frees them to do what builds the relationship that keeps the clients, that grow the business, and that has people refer and say, this advisor really got me, and they worked with me as I moved through these different stages of my life.
Well said. And I think just to give a little context, you know, you're a thought leader in the space. You get asked to speak about this continuously. You know, with Lifebridge Strategies itself, what are some of the functions of your program that equip advisors to do a little bit of that work?
So we have 2 offerings. One's called Trusted Advisor of Choice. And in that, it's an 8-module program. And we also were impacted by the pandemic. And we came out just at 2020, and our program, we were positively impacted. I hate to say that, but we were, because our training is bite-sized videos with lots of resources and then group coaching after each of the 8 modules. And it's through the lens of life transitions and teaching advisors how to better understand the practical, emotional family. And then we teach a trademarked process for how do you go between the life and the business conversation. And what came out of that was we saw a gap that once advisors got great at having the conversations, they said, okay, so now I'm good at empathy and I get what's going on, I could use some resources on the life side, not just the financial. So just this spring, we came out with Life Map, which are robust resources for clients on the life side of transitions that they can only get from advisors, and that we have designed it so it deepens the relationship between client and advisor without taking more time for the advisor. And so we keep looking at where's the gap that we can help advisors deepen the relationship, meet the client's needs, and grow their business. And those are the two offerings we have right now. And I'm sure in a couple of years, we'll be able to tell you about another one.
I love it. Love the partnership. And we're going to stick with this human component. Dave, so there's an author and award-winning journalist, Sebastian Junger. He wrote in his book called Tribe that never has it been so common in human history to live in the most populated city and yet feel so utterly alone. With the evolution of technology, community, and the human touch, becoming more and more scarce, how can business owners and individuals use the scarcity to their advantage?
Yeah, just wait a second. Let me type that into ChatGPT to get you an answer on that one. I joke, but it's like there is a threat to that. There really is, like a threat to some of the humanness going away. There's a connection of mine allowed his daughter to have a conversation with one of the bots, like it was Grok, and and she just started talking to it. He opened it up, did it while they were driving home, 10-minute long conversation, and she started telling it about her day and friends and some of the interactions, and it just kept going. And the voice got more compassionate over time to connect with her. So it was one of those things where it was like, whoa, like, okay. But it also opens up for him to have a conversation with her about human connection, interaction, which is great because we need to be ahead of this stuff. I mean, I don't know those of you that have smaller kids, whenever you watch them play like YouTube Kids or whatever, it's unbelievable how those algorithms give them exactly what they want when they want it, right? And so it's like, that's not the real world. We all know that we're growing up. So just that being hypersensitive to that. And I always say this about our industry, how important connection is. And we learned this, Emmy and I, from our marriage coaching that we do. But our guy said years ago, he said, Dave, if you want to be the most efficient it's about being connected with your spouse. That's how you become the most effective and efficient you. And that hit me, and it's really helped me in the most important relationship I have. But I've also taken that principle and tried to apply it in like my relationships, people that I work with, the people that I'm friends with, because I think there's 3 components to the next generation of those of us that are in sales and that are trying to move our business forward through growing the revenue side of our business. People buy from us, we've all heard this before, because they like and trust us, right? We all know that. There's a third part, though, is connected. They like, trust, and they need to feel connected to you. And that's something we get to do. That's not anything that a computer program can enhance. AI is a thought partner. It's not a replacement of it at all. And I mean, so many pieces of the connection piece I could talk about, but it's our job. This is the evolution of strategy, right? Our job as leaders in our company is to stay ahead of what's happening. And whenever things are going down in the marketplace, we almost need to protect our business from that and protect our people from that too. And we need to level up in this game because it's not going to put you out of business. There's a lot of that fear that's going around right now. That's just hype. It's not. But you know what it will do is it's going to enhance other people that are competing with you if you don't choose to embrace it. And that's the game that I'm trying to stay ahead of. And I mean, in so many ways, but the thought partner piece, like we have one of our consultants created an AI agent for yourself to basically contrast your way of thinking. Flux. And as we're reading through Flux's characteristics, Flux knows who he is based on all of his personality profiles he's ever taken. And then we created one that was the antithesis of his personalities. And we're reading through these characteristics because this is going to be a thought partner of his in everything he's doing. This Flux is going to allow him to be a better coach because it sees different angles, right? It gives him awareness of how he doesn't see it alone. So that enhances his human connection. That enhances the game that he's playing constantly and that we all want to play. And I'm trying to encourage as many of our people to be playing that game as well. That's something that I need to be staying ahead of too. So I've got many, many other examples I could do. Even our fantasy football draft, Adam, that you're a part of, I might have used AI to.
Is that why you're winning?
But you can give it situations and talking points and, of course, context and past history. But it's something that's allowed me to kind of have more of a connection. And I hope to do that throughout our business.
Since this is also one of the tools we've chosen to use with Level AI, G3, can you comment on this? Like how can Level AI and AI in general, to tag on to what Dave said, help elevate those human interactions we have?
You know, Dave, you hit it on the nail. It's not the AI which is going to take your job, right? It's the person with AI who's going to take your job, right? So, and I'm going to echo this panel's thoughts, which is you need the human in the loop, right? So thinking about like maybe, you know, you're flying and, you know, you have a co-pilot. So you've got the speed, but you need the control. So I think that's the way I look at AI. So you get the speed, and the controls that you put in are really the guardrails, and you choose to use what you want to use. For example, I'm not going to lie, but I put these questions in ChatGPT for my panel, and I read through 2, and then like, no, sorry, pass. This is not going to cut it. I want to be authentic, and I know what I'm saying, right? So really, there's this fine balance. But I always consult. So it's like you consult and take the best out of anything that anybody has. That's a common human psychology, right? So you take ideas and take the one that works. So that's going to apply for AI too. And the thing, again, is like the speed and the insights that it gets is so invaluable. All of us here know how fast you can do things. And there's this new Moore's law of AI where, you know, every 7 months, the tasks that an AI can do, just say, for example, right now it's like 10 hours of tasks that a human can do, the AI can do, it keeps going. At every 7 months, the speed is doubling. So anyways, non-geeky side, it's all about like AI is going to be faster, more powerful, and it's up to us to kind of leverage the power. And in our example, you know, from a coaching perspective, classic is, as a coach, you want to spend more time coaching, not looking at data. So in our platform, for example, you could automatically score any call in multiple parameters, right? Empathy, CSAT, this and that. But what it gives is like a quick way to kind of look for that specific areas versus like instead of spending like 80% of your time looking for data and finding out what to do, you're going to flip that. You're going to use 20% or less of time to see what's going on. Then you're going to use that 80% of time to really get things done. So that's going to be the big change that I'm looking at. Like, how can you really, you know, derive value of your thought partner? To me, I always view AI as that thought partner who's just like really, really strategic in thinking, but it might not have the context, right? So you got to kind of map it out. So that's how I see the map.
So this will be a question for G3 and Anya. So maybe toggle to Anya and back to G3 for this. What are some of the current limitations of AI? And you're already commenting a little bit on this, right? And how ChatGPT doesn't always help you prep for the questions. What are some of the aspects that the market has overhyped or overpromised and maybe not yet delivered on?
I think something not yet delivered, but I think it's something that we will see, is look at your own ChatGPT experience. When I write Nashville, I no longer ask Google, say, best restaurant in Nashville. I say, hey, first time in Nashville, I'm from San Francisco. I don't eat spicy food. My husband is tag along because he said he also want to help out. Where is he? Hey, help out. He said he also want to help out. And unfortunately, he's a chef. And so have to be something delicious. Well, what would you recommend, right? So you give a lot more context. Right? Give our context. The same thing for our customer. When they use our service, they are not just, give me the best outfit. They say, oh, next week I have 2 meetings with board meetings, and then I go on a client meeting in Philadelphia. In that meeting, I want to feel fit in. Or in the next meeting, when I go to meet with the CNN company, then I want to feel that I'm standing out. Right? It's a lot more context on what you want to achieve. So that's where the difference between now and the past. When people are searching, people are looking for, people give you a lot more information. And what it means back to the previous point, it means you need to have company have unique data to serve the answer for people to solve the problem. You are no longer just trying to get best keywords there, restaurant Nashville. No, the keyword thing is that. Now it's about, can you solve their problems? For example, in my business at Taelor, we have a lot of unique data. For example, when people we know their true preference. Because when you go on Amazon or Macy's to buy something, it tends to be not just because you like it, also because the price tag, right? Oh, it's $1, perfect, I like it, for sure, right? So, but now with like Netflix, when you go on Netflix show, we watch a show, isn't because the show is on discount. You do like the show. The same thing with our model, we are membership, so then we know customer's true preference. Or AI only know the past. AI doesn't know the future. So in our business, we work with 300 fashion brands, Marine Layer, Johnson & Murphy, Bonobos, you name it. So then they are designing something for the next year's collections, so we know the future. Or, for example, we buy two companies. They have 10 years of styling data led by human stylists in Hollywood. So they wasn't able to scale, so we bought their data set, fit into our AI. Or we are a rental company. So after people return the clothes, we know their true quality. Johnson & Murphy, you say this pen will at least 50 times wash. No, I can tell you 20 times you fall apart, right? I have this unique data that no one else has. And it's on me to turn this unique data into the answer to solve the customer's problem.
So now everybody's going to put into ChatGPT a very specific requirements to know where you're going out on Broadway tonight. And it's going to tell you the exact bar, a lot of context. G3, do you want to comment a little bit on where AI is a little overhyped, maybe where they've overpromised and have yet to deliver?
Yeah, I'm going to echo Anya's point. And it's all around the accuracy, right? There's a lot of hallucination still going on. And even the best, models out there, they are probably 80% maybe accurate, especially without the context, it'll be even less. So the more and more that you can point all your data together, have a feedback of the data coming in continuously, you're going to refine the models. So I feel like hallucination is so real, how much we're going to fine tune, and there's so many variables, and it's going to be evolving as the models evolve. But hallucination is real. So giving the right context, and I think there was so many of them which happened recently. There's an airline where somebody asked for a refund, they gave it, and the chat bot was not supposed to give it. So really, that was because we didn't point to the right data, right? So we didn't point to the refund policy and so on and so forth. So where it is hyped is the hallucination part, which could be solved if we point the data. But here's the big, interesting report that I read from MIT. 95% of AI projects which were done are a failure. And the reason was data. Not pointing the data, not getting the right data out of multiple systems, because all the systems are talking to one another. Order systems talking to pricing, is talking to CRM, is talking to all of those. So really getting that problem solved is important. And having that common data layer and training it over and over again, I think that's going to be so critical for the success of this. And I think we're also inspirational, aspirational about, there's a bot which is going to go talk to another bot and get all my stuff done, which is still there. I mean, there's a lot of research going on agentic AI, where one bot, let's say, hey, I want to go to a vacation. Can the bot do all sorts of planning as well as go and make those reservations? Yes, they are building those systems. But I think what we're, again, losing sight of is the strategy, the vision. Everything is available today. The technology is available. But then as you start implementing and putting things together, there's going to be failure points. So I think having a good proof of concept. We have been in some situations with our clients where they had some of the basic data in really old on-premise systems that you can't even pull that data. So these are very practical challenges that will kind of limit what you can do. So I would say hallucination, data limitations, the integration part, security is still a challenge. I think we have to really, think about how we were reluctant to put stuff in Gmail and Google, and now we're fast forward, we're like, everything is being used by everyone. So especially the huge liability issues in people who are in finance, insurance. So really having good guardrails and the advancement in terms of security have to keep up with this. Because the way, from a technology perspective, this is a different kind of a thing that we're trying to do, right? Like, so AI operation security is still evolving. So those things, where I'm trying to go is technology is one. There are so many other surround elements which I have to kind of amp up to. Security, data, integrations, all of those and also the change management. That's also huge. We've had clients where we put a lot of AI tools, but then the adoption is not there because they are used to doing it a certain way. So how do you change behaviors, right? That's a very real problem. So I think the limitation is right there in terms of HR, change management, technology, operations. All of them have to sing this from the same songbook, so to speak. So it's a lot of things that have to go together to make it a reality.
Thanks, G3. Dave, back to you real quick. I know you've already mentioned Flux as like an example of a use case for AI. And what other ways are you engaging with AI as a support technology as opposed to a replacement technology?
Yes, and as I was listening to G3 talk and Anya, this was something that around AI that I got challenged with about a year ago, and I would remiss if I didn't put the same challenge out to each one of you because we're all business leaders. You all know it by now. Everyone's alluded to it. AI is evolving faster than any creation ever has in history, right? 250 million books it's already consumed, so the information out there. But where are you at in this evolution? Like, that was a question posed to me. Where am I at in this evolution? We almost can't wait any longer because there's this learning curve that's going to happen, and the learning curve keeps getting farther and farther away from each of us, doesn't it? And getting educated, we got to start now. It's almost getting to the point, and this is something that I might have even heard this morning. You're getting to the point to where you can't just say, oh, I'm so glad I got into our industry because it's not affected by AI. Or, I'm glad it's never going to replace me in the work I do, right? That might even be something I ran into. So if you're comfortable with status quo and waiting for somebody to handle AI for you, I would just caution you. Just jump into the pool. I'd caution you on that. Because as I've jumped into the pool, it's allowed me to be that better leader. It's allowed me to connect a little bit better with people. So one of them, Flux was one of them. Another one, I know this is more of a personal one, but it's real. My son, he's got ADHD. He's got something called a ring of fire brain, if anybody's ever heard of this concept. But I am growing as a dad because the information that's out there on the ring of fire brain and how to react to it, I mean, it's firing all the time, triggering constantly. And I'm not this is real, I'm not as compassionate. I'm more about efficiency and compliance instead of connection sometimes, which I need to get better with. I've asked it to give me a perspective from a counselor point of view with a certain context on how I could have reacted better in this situation. And it's helped, and it's starting to help me in that area. A friend of mine, some mediation he's going through with a Fortune 100 company. He owns a 9-figure great business. He's part of my C12 group, and it's a logistics solutions company. He has typed in the lawyers he's in mediation with and their personalities and the stance, the arguments that they want to make as a business, and having them go back and forth and go at it, which has allowed him to really have some great strategy. The 9 or 10 lawsuits that he's in with his big business, all of them are still alive, and the settlement numbers keep getting bigger and bigger. Shocker, right? Because he's kind of playing the game inside of his head beforehand. It can give you insights in that thought partner piece that allows you to do it. And anything's available. So I love what you said, G3. I mean, the amount of data you put in, that's what it's going to spurt back out. But also be aware of the data that you want to be putting out there into the world. Because you all have heard of some of the public stuff that's gone on, that's gotten out about businesses. But also you can verify the hallucinations. Like, fact check this for me. That mediation example, there was a couple of times when I was talking to the guy in mediation, he was like, I fact checked that. I just said AI, hey, give me your pieces for this. And it said, yeah, that one's made up. It'll tell you when it's made up or if it was hallucinating. So just some insight there. I would contend it can help you in any area. And it's so customized. Isn't it so cool when you get some bit of feedback that's so customized to you That's what I think that's so unique about this platform, because now we can go, it's almost like we listen better when it's customized to fit us in our situation. We learn quicker. So yeah, I would say those would be a couple of examples, and I'm trying to look for more too all the time.
Dr. Amy, did you want to tag on real quick?
I just think I want to make the last point that I hope we use AI as a way to do all those things more efficiently so that we have better human connection, because, you know, we all know the proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. When I do caregiving workshops, I'll say it takes a village to care for an aging parent. But the truth is it takes a village just to get through life. And we are that village for each other. And the only way we can be that village is when we work on deepening our relationships. So I see AI as a huge opportunity to free us so that we can deepen the relationships. And I bet there's no one in this room that would argue that the world needs more peace and better relationships. So let's use AI as a tool to free us so we can be those people in the world.
Love it. So you've heard from 4 thought leaders in this space, and I think they did a wonderful job. You know, one thing that you always look for and identify are values that you can duplicate. And I think each of them, you'd find that they have an insatiable curiosity for this kind of work, and it's probably a big part of what's put them in the position they're in today, is that each of these folks in separate individual conversations, you can just get this sense of their insatiable curiosity. And it's such a common thread when you interview founders and Fortune 500 CEOs, is this common thread. And I think if there's any takeaway today, I hope it is also that you can take that insatiable curiosity back and put it around technology instead of doing the ostrich method, which is bury your head in the sand and hope it all goes away. By doing that, I think we'll stay advanced and get ahead of the game in every industry you're in. But thank you to all of our panelists today for sharing such wisdom with us. Let's give them a hand of applause.
Dave Brown, G3, and Amy Anya Adam, A3.
If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. And to stay updated on everything that the Action Catalyst is up to, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Action Catalyst Podcast and on Twitter at Catalyst_Action. And thanks for listening.